Okay, we are live. Hello everyone, I'm Sanjay Gupta. I welcome you back on Skill Horizon YouTube channel, and you are watching a series on ServiceNow development, where Kunal is sharing all his knowledge that he gained through working on different projects. So welcome back, Kunal, on the channel.
Thanks, Sanjay.
Okay, so in this session also he will be sharing more insight about the development in ServiceNow. And in previous session we discussed about the JavaScript, like how JavaScript can be used in ServiceNow. So few more things you will be learning today. And before we start the session, just wanted to share one information with you. So we will be soon starting our online and offline ServiceNow job readiness programs. So there are lots of job opportunities available in ServiceNow ecosystem, both in India and outside India. So we'll be providing some placement supports as well. So you can visit skillhorizon.org.in, and soon I will be sharing a WhatsApp group link and Excel sheet link in the chat of this YouTube stream. So basically what we are trying to do, we are collecting all the job opportunities which are currently available in the market in that Excel sheet. So I will be sharing that. It is right now open. uh, like later on it will be protected, because we will be sharing that with the enrolled folks. But right now, like, we are just promoting careers in service now, so we will be sharing that openly, so that you can just make sure there are job opportunities available, and then you can enroll for the programs, and you can make your career in service now ecosystem. Okay, so with this note, I think, Kunal, we can start with the session.
Yeah, thanks, Sanjay. All right. So last session, we had covered business rules. We created client-side business rule, client-side client scripts, and then we went to business rules. We covered glide record and glide system and glide datetime classes. We covered what kind of business rules are there before, after, and asynchronous. Now, the business rule is something that is triggered in the background, which means if you're doing something that will trigger. If you're saving a record, system will trigger this code. But what if you wanted user to decide what happens and how would that happen? So if we go back to our project table, if we have this record open project proposal, you will see that there are 4 buttons at the top and 2 buttons at the bottom. These buttons are called UI actions, which is short for user actions. Now, I, as a user, can make a few changes on this record and click on update, and that will update the record. But I can extend this functionality and create new buttons on this form. Now, there are 2 types of UI actions that we can create. One would be client side and one would be server. We will cover both by one example each. So let's duplicate this task, duplicate this tab, and we will go to on the gray bar, right click, configure, and UI actions. Since this table is extended from task table, all the UI actions that are available on that table are also available here. But we would be creating a new one specifically for our table, that is project proposal. We click on new, and the example that I'm trying to create is that I want assigned to be my name. So I want to say assigned to me, and that should change the value of this form. Since this is client side, that means the data will not be saved. It will just modify the form for us. Let's try it out. Assigned to me and client. That is name. And let us, yeah. So if you want this to work on the client side, you click on the client. And since we want this button to be on the form, we click on form. And since we want it to be highlighted, we would select primary. We could also select unstyle or destructive. Primary will give you a blue green button like this. Destructive will give you a red button, and unstyle will give you a transparent button. So we are going to make it primary. Now, since we clicked on client, you would see on click field appears. If I remove this, that goes away. So I click on this and I will say assign to me. And I need to define that function now. Same function that we used here. And so if you remember, we have option to get the current user by using G underscore. What was the class? Keep forgetting. Sorry. User. Nope, I keep forgetting what was the class. Sorry. But that happens. And that is why we keep this site always on hand. We go to reference and client, and we have glide user, and we can use, it was G user. Somehow it did not show up there. But okay, so we will use this G user dot user ID. And since we have access to G form, set value, sorry, assigned to current user. And that should be it. Let us see if it works out. I will collapse this since we don't need to use it anymore. And we will reload the form. And now we have this button, which is assigned to me. If I click on this, and it automatically puts my user ID on this. Remember, I said this will not save the form, and we can test it by just reloading the form and the value is gone. But if I were to assign it to me and then save it, then you still have that. So this is example of a client-side UI action. Now we will create a bit more complicated example for server-side UI action. And for that, what I have done is that I actually created a new table. So this is project proposal. So in general, what you would expect this to be that someone proposes a project and someone approves it. And once it is approved, it will create a record in another table, which is project. So I created a table name of projects. So what will now happen is that once someone is in this table, in this form, there should be a button which says promote or create project. And once that is created, it will create a record in projects table, and it should have the name of same as a project proposal, and proposal, which is a reference field, should link to this project proposal. I'll repeat. Once we click on this button, it should create a new record in projects table where the name would be same as the short description, and the proposal reference would refer to this project proposal. Let's go and let's create that. So we will go to UI actions and create a new one. Create project. And since this is on server side, we will not be clicking on client. We'll simply click on form button. We will make this primary again, and we will start writing. So variable project gr is equal to new blight record Now we need the name of the table. So if you are here, we can copy the name of the table from the URL directly. So we go here and now we have initialized the class client record. Now we will create a new record that is by dot initialize, and then we will start setting values of fields. For example, if you remember, if you have SN Utils extension installed, you can double click on the white space to show you the field names. For example, this is name and this is proposal. So we are setting name. And since we are currently on project proposal, we can access the current record on which the button was clicked by using current get value short description. And we also want to set value of proposal, and that will be current dot get unique value. Get unique value gives you the GUID of the current record. Project dot insert. This will insert the record. Now, if I want to know the GUID of the newly created record, I can do that as well. So new record sysid equals to this. And we will check if we actually have that record. We will set redirect. Oh, I keep forgetting set redirect function. But again, since we have access to this, we will action.redirect, sorry. So yeah, so this is one that we need. So it will be action.set redirect. Again, directly, let's copy it to make sure we don't make any mistake. And in this, we will say new record society. And that should, once the record is created, that should take us to the new record. Let us see if it works as we want it to. So we'll go to project proposal. We'll open this up and we will create project. Okay, this is something that you will encounter in real life development, is that whenever you're trying to create a new record, you need actually cross-scope policy, which is that you are accessing this function, which is not part of application, but part of the global application. But since you should have this access, the ServiceNow system automatically created this privilege for you. But this did not work because we just put in the sysid, which was wrong. But yeah, I'll show you that project has been created. This is a project that was created, and it has the short description that we had, and it has the proposal name that is task 21253. So here we have done two things now. We have covered creating GUI actions on the client side and on the server side as well. UI actions are very important and are excessively used throughout the industry, throughout the development, because it gives you a short way to do many things. For example, if I want a single action to change the state to closed and set the work node or description or set something else in one go, and then save the record at the same time, it is an automation for the end user so that they don't have to do multiple tasks, multiple changes to the form to achieve a single task. And that is why UI actions are extremely important. Again, as we have discussed before, you guys should be practicing this in your PDI. And once you are sure where you are, only then you would be able to work on these things. So keep trying, keep breaking things. And if there's any issue, you can always reach us. We are there to help you. All right. So now we have covered a major portion of form automation, but there are few things, mainly UI pages and UI macros. Uh, Now, if you remember, ServiceNow came out in 2004, and back then there was no React, there was no Angular, there was no UI framework as to you would call as UI framework. What they had was Apache Jelly script, and that is how many of the functionality in ServiceNow is baked. Nobody is making new UI pages, at least none that I know of. But you should be aware what is it and how do they work, right? So let's see if we can find something useful here. Okay, so I just open a random UI page and it has nothing because it is protected. So okay, so we can open this one. So what you see on the screen is that it has two parts. One is HTML, one is client script. And if you look into HTML, it starts with this tag, Jelly. And this is a proprietary format from Apache. It is deprecated. It has been deprecated for a very long period. But ServiceNow, huge amount of functionality within ServiceNow was developed using this Jelly. So they keep supporting it. But nobody is expecting new developers to actually understand this or develop using this. But you should be aware what it is and how it works. So let's open this up into a new tab to understand how it works. The parent tag would be Jelly, and within it is evaluate. And evaluate is essentially a server-side code that runs, for example, rp.get parameter value. That means it will try and get the parameter URL parameters and set that value into this variable name that is JVAR form. Similarly, what they have done is now that you have this value, they have put this into an hidden input, and set the value to JVAR from. So this value now is available within HTML. Similarly, there is another gevaluate that will run on server before the page is rendered. And then you can use those values within your HTML code, which is here. It is kind of complicated and it breaks up often. But yeah, again, like I said, nobody's expecting you guys to actually learn and develop using this. But you guys should be aware as to how some of the things within ServiceNow work. We'll skip over this part and quickly go to the form design and views. Now, if you remember, we created the form view for this project proposal, and we did that by going to Form Designer. So we'll quickly go there, Form Design. Now, there will be condition where I want admins to see one kind of form, and for example, support executive to see a different set of fields. And that is decided by your view. For example, this view, if you click here, to view is a default view. And because there's just one view, that is default view. Now we will create a new view and create a different layout. So we go here on this and we create a new view and we will say Starfleet view. And that's okay. We'll save this. And once you have saved, we will reload this page, and we should have that option to choose between. Now, I will reload this into staff lead view. Now, since this is a different entity, I probably don't want them to have access to work notes. So I'll remove that. And I want the budget to be read only. So I will make that read only. And we'll save this. And reload this page. Now, if you see, the budget is read only, and I don't have access to the work notes. But if I go back to a different view, the default view, I have access to the work notes. This is still read only, but maybe we set it somewhere else. But yeah, this is how you can create multiple views for the same form layout. And then there is view rules, where you can force different people to see different view rules. So for example, we create a new rule, admin sees staff lead. And we will choose the table, project, proposal, device type, browser, and we need to copy the name of view. Match condition on, and we will set to created by is let's set something that's short description. Short description contains, see some examples. Okay, so if it contains web page, it should become staff lead view. And some view name can only contain, okay. Okay, the name is underscore. So we will go to, for example, if we go in this, the view is default, but if we go back and click on this, the view automatically becomes staff lead view that we decided by a view rule. Now, since we have discussed UI previews and UI macros, that was almost 20 years back. Since then, the web industry saw some frameworks coming up. And one framework that ServiceNow decided to include in their system was AngularJS. And not surprisingly, that is also deprecated. But it is used extensively within ServiceNow. And you should be expecting that you would develop using that. And how does that work? I'll give you a small demo first. So we'll close this. So ServiceNow has two parts. One that we have been using till now, that is called fulfillers view, or the core UI, which is normally meant for people who have extended roles and extensive rights within the system. But there would be people who actually work for you. For example, let's take example of staff lead, the company that we're working with. There would be HR who would be handling your cases, but then there would be employees who would be requesting laptops. So they would not have access to the core UI. They will have access to what is called a portal view. And this is, for example, /ESC and any ServiceNow instance will always be employee center portal. And here you can actually request things and read articles, multiple things that you can do. For example, if I want to request a laptop, or let's say iPhone, there should be, yeah. So let's see if I didn't find any computers, right? So I just want to see requests. Yeah, so I can request a MacBook Pro. Now, this thing is AngularJS, and this is what you call portal. And everything you see in different boxes, these are portal widgets. And what we'll do now is create a new portal widget and see how it looks on the portal side. So for that, we need to understand how this works. If you look at the URL, ESC is a portal. ID is equal to SCCat item. That is a portal page. And on this portal page, everything that you see is a widget. So we will create a new portal page first, and then we'll create a widget, put it on the page, and see how it looks like. So let's quickly create a new page. What we would do is we will list all the project proposals that we have. All right, we will come to the content later, but we'll save this. And we have the page created. Now we can actually go to this page by copying the ID and modifying the URL to this. And what you see is an empty page because we did not add any content to it. So our next step would be to create a new widget. And we would create staff project proposal list or widget. Right, and we will for now just create simple thing. This would be the place to see list of proposals. Set, and we will save this. Now our widget is created, our page is created. Now we need to link both of those. And for that, we will open the page in Designer. There is a link here. Click on it. It will open an interface where you can add widgets to the page. Let's give it a minute. Yeah, right. So what you see is a very similar to the web developers use WIWSYG. What you see is what you get. And we will first of all add a container to it. We already have a container. We add 12 columns layout into it. And then we'll find the widget that we wanted to add. And the widget name was Staff Lead Project Proposal. So we'll search for that. Staff Lead Project Widget. And we will simply drag it here. And it already shows you the preview. And that has been added. Now we can actually go to the end page, reload this, and you have this. Now let's go back to the widget and make some changes to it. Right. Now, a widget has four main parts. One is the body, HTML template. Then there's CSS, which controls this. And then there are two scripts. One is server script and one is client controller. Client controller is essentially the JavaScript that runs on the browser side. For now, we will create a script in the server. We will query all the project proposal that we have and send the data to HTML template where we will list those in a ordered list. Okay, so let's create a server script. We will, as usual, create a new instance of glide record, and let's copy the name of the table, project proposals. We will copy the name URL and remove the list part because that was a list view. And since we want to list all of those, we will not put any queries. We will simply query it while project proposal dot next. Let's create a array first, and that is proposal. And we will push the values here. Proposal array dot push object inside it. And what are the values that we want to show? Is that we want to show number and that short description for now, nothing else. Let's keep it very simple. Number is project proposal gr dot get value number and short description project proposal gr dot get value short description, and that is it. And the way we can transfer data from server script to our body template is by using data dot variable, which is data is something which is whenever you populate on server is available on your client side. So what we'll do is data dot proposals equals to proposal array. And that is it. We will save this and now use this on the template side. And how we do that is that UL, let's make it OL because we want it numbered, right? So, and then LI ng repeat. So this is something that is part of AngularJS. I will not go into detail, but yeah, you can always look up the documentation for AngularJS, which is used within service portal widgets. But it works something like this: is that proposal in c.data dot proposals. And we will say so what we've done is that we started a new ordered list tag in HTML. Then within it, a list item. And what LG repeat will do is that it will pick up the value that was sent from server and run a loop on it. And each loop will give you an object that is proposal. And if you remember, the proposal is an object and which has a member called number. Sure, this would create a list of project proposals, but just show us the number of it. We'll save it and reload this. And what we see is that we had 3 project proposals and all of them are listed here. Now let's also add there our short description, right? So what we'll do is we will do this and make this H4. And next would be span and it will have proposal dot short description. Revise this thread. I don't see there's something wrong, but okay, let's reload and see what happens. So, all right, we have H3 and then span within it, which says issue with the page because there was only one proposal which actually had this. So let's add this here. Share this. And reload this page. Now you have it. So we created a new widget where we are querying the data from server, from the tables, converting that into a very simple array of objects, passing that to our HTML template, and quickly, with a very, very short period, we created a list of the project proposals that are present in our system. Angular JS, I think Angular JS, yeah, this is it. But the moment you log in, it will say that the support has officially ended 2022. But since ServiceNow is an enterprise software, they will continue to support it until they don't deprecate it. But yeah, that won't happen anytime soon. So yeah, you will need to learn Angular JS if you want to become a developer within ServiceNow. We have created simple widget and we have listed the proposals from our table. We can start working on workflows and flows. So this kind of ends our journey where we actually wrote script JavaScript. Now we are moving towards more automation with click and proceed. And ServiceNow or Salesforce, they always insist that developers should use more and more of declarative development, which is just click and point and continue. And that is something also happening in ServiceNow. So yeah, more and more people are using those tools, and they are important. Uh, we do have some 5 minutes. So what we will do is that I'll give you a short demo of how workflows work. I don't want to go into detail because it is kind of being deprecated, which is if you are to buy a new ServiceNow instance this year, this will not be included. The workflow editor would not be included. The previously created workflow will continue to work. They would be deprecated maybe in 5 or 10 years, God knows when. But yeah, you will not be able to create new workflows from there. Then comes flow. That is new version of workflows. We will cover that into the next session. But let's quickly jump to workflow editor. So this is the view for workflows. And if you go and look into the workflows that are published, you will see there are just 5. And you can open any of those and look how they work. For example, if I want to open this, it will show you what is happening. So whenever there are triggers on this, for example, I don't think so we can access the triggers because it is not in our scope. But yeah, you can trigger a workflow multiple ways. It could be through a catalog item, a form, or you could trigger it using script. But once it's triggered, it will run through these steps, and it is something that you can actually observe in real time. And it also gives you a workflow flowchart kind of view where you can see what happens and what how it happens. So first of all, it runs a script. And you know what, actually, let's create a new workflow to understand how this works. Okay, so they have deprecated workflows here. So we don't have an option. Yeah. So I won't go into much detail, but yeah, you could have created start and keep adding stages and then add scripts, or maybe use out of box functionality where you could create approvals and such. But yeah, again, this is something that has been deprecated, but you should be aware how it works and how you could make small changes if needed. But the newer way is through this, where you go to Workflow Studio and create new flows. But we will be covering this in our next session. Sanjay, I think we can end our session today here.
Okay, so I think you already covered a lot. So maybe the remaining part we
Mm,
can cover in the next session. And
yeah.
next session I think we'll be having after Diwali break, because next week in India we have Diwali
Mm,
festival. So we won't
yeah.
be having session next week. We can do in the last week of October.
True. Okay.
So probably like how many sessions are pending as of now? One or two?
I think two sessions.
Two sessions.
We will cover one where we will automate things, and then in the last session we cover how to deploy and some debugging.
Okay.
But that would roughly be it. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I think we are good for today. And
Yeah.
those who are following these sessions, I just shared a link of the sheet in the chat of this live stream and a WhatsApp group as well. So you can join those, and so that you can be connected with us. And in future, lots of job opportunities will be sharing, which are available in the ServiceNow ecosystem. So be connected with us, and we'll help you so that you can become job ready. Okay.
Excellent.
Yep. Thank you, Kunal, for sharing all
Thank
the
you,
knowledge.
guys.
Yeah.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.